Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a man who was a head coach in college basketball at numerous places, including Bowling Green, WVU for a day and a half, Indiana, and now you can hear his voice on the airways here in Indiana every single day. It's must-hear radio. He also calls games for ESPN. Just yesterday, during the college bracket breakdown, they had him sitting at a round table where the camera was shooting him from behind, showing his bald spot in an incredibly rude way. Ladies and gentlemen, a must-follow on Twitter and a basketball genius, Dan Dakich.
Yeah, I have a rule. Blur the front. Nothing from behind.
Hey,
Nothing from behind.
Why did they do that to you, though? It was a round table. Everybody else had a full head of hair. They could have shot you from any angle. They chose you to be the one with your back to a camera. Diggs walked in this morning and said, man, they didn't do Dakich any favors yesterday on ESPN. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel like he's a baldist.
I'm just aware of the situation because I'm developing a similar situation.
Yeah, he's in the same spot.
Look, this isn't a bald spot. This is a bald head. I just swooshed the front a little bit, lacquer it down. In fact, I just got doing it. It's going away. The minute this basketball season's over, I'm coming home. Wow. And I'm coming home. I'm going to do it for charity.
Hey.
And, but, it is. I tell them I do. Nothing from behind. Let's go. They screwed me. That's all.
All right, breaking news. Dakich is doing away with the comb over. He's going to be a bald man next year. That's incredible. Nice bald head. It means you're smarter. You're going to be joining Jay Billis. Speaking of Jay Billis in college basketball, this is what you're on for. This is the Super Bowl for college basketball. The bracket came out yesterday. What was the most surprising thing about the way the bracket was put together in your eyes? Whether it was somebody who wasn't in, where somebody was placed, all that shit.
I don't, whoever didn't get in didn't deserve to get in. Michigan State beat Michigan 3 times, and Michigan State plays the number 1 seed if they get to the Elite 8. Didn't seem real fair to me, whereas Michigan, who Michigan State beat 3 times, gets the worst number 1 seed if they get that far. But here's the deal. I mean, let's just every year on every network, somebody bitches about who's in, who's out. I don't care who's in, who's out. Every year on whatever network, somebody bitches about, well, this team shouldn't be here. Personally, I don't care. Here's what I know. Thursday, my fat ass is going to be sitting around watching a ton of hoops all day. Friday, my fat ass is going to be sitting around watching a ton of hoops all day. Maybe when I get bald, I'll be smart enough to be my friend Seth Greenberg and my friend Jay Billis and have all the answers. I got no answers. I just watch and I like. That's all. That's all I do.
Hey, you've been going after Indiana a bit. You led a charge there late in the day before the bracket came out that Indiana has a chance to get into the tournament. You're a voice of Indiana. You were played at Indiana. You were an interim coach at Indiana. You're like, listen, IU might have a shot at getting in here. Then it turns out they're one of the first 4 teams out. You then went on to, I don't want to say destroy them, but you kind of did. What is the state of Indiana basketball? And as an alumni of that place, do you kind of take it personally to see the team fail?
Oh, I take it. Look, all right, you went to West Virginia. You love West Virginia. You were at West Virginia 4 years. I was at Indiana 17 years. This is where I grew up, 18 to 34 before I left. Basically, it's in my fiber, Indiana basketball. And I don't know if I destroyed them. I just basically said, look, I don't want to hear about you not getting in. You lost 12 or 13, and you still had a chance to get in, which is remarkable in this day and age. I mean, the NCAA, you're not supposed to lose 12 or 13 games and then get in the tournament, for crying out loud. Look, Indiana has, from the time Coach Knight left, actually from a little bit before Coach Knight left in 2000, they've tried to, I'm not going to say devalue basketball, but they wanted to distance themselves from anything that, I'm not going to say we did. Yeah, I am. Us as former players and former coaches were about. They didn't ever wanted to go back to the days of Bobby Knight, which is cool, which is fine. But it's been 19 years, and really right now, Indiana went from being one of the true powers where they stood for something, or at least people knew what you were going to get when you played Indiana, to just another team. And this isn't talking. I'm not speaking out of my backside. I told Fred Glass that when he made the last hire, and I like Archie Miller, but I did tell him, I go, look, there used to be a culture here based on, and I hope Archie brings the culture back, but right now Indiana's just another school and it drives me bat blank crazy.
Well, I can understand that. I live in Indiana, obviously, full-time. This place would love for the Hoosiers to be great at basketball again. I think that would be great for everybody, including yourself. All right, let's get to the bracket a little bit. Yesterday, I watched the bracket breakdown. I think CBS...
Hold on a second. Hold on. May I, just for a moment?
Yeah, man.
May I give a little history here between you and me with the bracket?
Yep, you can. You can.
A few years ago, I did your bracket. What did you win? A trip to Vegas?
That is an accurate.
Was it Xavier?
That is an accurate assessment. Yeah, you told me that Xavier was going to be a bracket buster.
Yep.
I got one of the first picks in the bracket buster thing with Bud Light when I was at Barstool. Xavier was the only team that made it to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8, and it's all because of Mr. Dan Dakich. I got a free trip to Las Vegas. That is true.
Let me ask you a question. The hell did I get?
I think I gave you a shout out a couple times. I was like, hey, it's because almost bald Dakich told me. I think I gave you a couple shout outs.
Hey, what'd that shout out pay? What'd that pay for me? Didn't even buy me a Bud freaking Light. A shout out. Shout out my ass. All right, man.
Hey, people
you're
pay.
in Vegas. You're at the New York,
Ew.
doing your thing with whatever you do and whoever you do it with.
Yeah.
And what am I doing? I'm in a snowstorm in Indiana, looking at you, watching your Instagram.
I give it. People pay good money for their shout-outs, Dan. It's a business. Foxy, please. A lot of people pay good money for a lot of money for their shout-outs. Okay, let's get to this bracket. And there's no Vegas trip to be won, but there is a potential. Every place offers you like $1 million or $1 billion if you have a perfect bracket, which I think your brain is going to help us do. The 12 seed, I guess, is 16-24 in the first round over the last couple years. Everybody's saying Oregon's the team this year to beat Wisconsin. That's a big 12 seed to make the play. Do you agree with that or not?
I kind of do. I think that Oregon is playing really well, and they've got this kid, and I can't remember his name as I'm talking to you, but he's a big old freak athlete. And if you can guard Wisconsin one-on-one, this Ethan Happ, you got a real shot. Of the 5-12 games, I would say that Oregon is probably the most a sleeper team that I don't know how many brackets you fill out, but if you want to get a little sexy, New Mexico State is a 12 place. Pat, usually you play 7-8 guys. They play 13 guys. The coach is a great coach. He's in the middle of nowhere. They play Auburn, who is hit or miss. I'll go, if you want me to do this, I'll go with the fives. Murray State's an interesting team. Murray State could beat Marquette. Marquette's best player has a bad wrist. Murray State has a kid who's going to be one of the top 5 picks in the draft, a guy named John Morant. Mississippi State and Liberty, I assume that'll be close as well. Liberty's won like 28 games. Mississippi State was good for a while. But if I were going to say, okay, give me a 5-12, I'd say Oregon and Wisconsin because they can guard the big guy Happ.
Is anybody going to be able to touch Duke?
Man, yes. North Carolina, if North Carolina can get there. North Carolina's, beat them twice, obviously, without Zion. And
that's a whole different ball game, though, right? Isn't it? When Zion's not in the game. Now, granted, they still have 3 of the top 5 picks or whatever on that team, but when Zion's on the court, it's just a complete different animal. It's like LeBron back in the day. Whenever LeBron was playing, he was coming over to Pennsylvania from his St. Mary's playing Pennsylvania All-Stars, and these little white kids were just getting dunked on in Pennsylvania when LeBron was in high school. It feels like that whenever Zion's on the court with these college kids. It's a whole different ball game. Do you not agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Hey, man. I mean, I don't like that kid. I love it. I was at his first game back against Syracuse at the ACC tournament. Swear to God, it was electric. Yeah, it's a totally different game. So for me to say, North Carolina State beat him without Zion, it's like saying the most handsome man at the Dakich family reunion. It just doesn't mean but North Carolina did, and they were right there to beat them again. I mean, with Zion Williamson, the other. That's really the only team that I see. UVA lost to them without Zion. Michigan State's playing great. They might meet in a regional final. In fact, I think they will meet in a regional final, and Michigan State will give them a game, but I don't know if they have enough. Kentucky has a shot. Kentucky, big, strong up front. but they're not going to get past North Carolina. But it's Duke's tournament with Zion playing the way he's playing.
Is he the first college basketball player you've seen that has been universally liked by everybody? It seems like everybody loves Zion. It's like everybody hates Duke. Like, that's a standard. Nobody likes the yuppies from Duke. They're a bunch of snobs. Everybody hates Duke. Anytime they get on TV, I hate them. Everybody wants – this year it's been a complete different animal. Everybody likes Zion because he's just a game changer. Am I accurate with that assessment, even with you TV people?
100%. Like, I'm good with Duke either way, but I love that kid. That kid plays hard. That kid, like, he dives in the middle of piles. Hey, look, so many guys now go to the NBA combine. Here's what happens in college basketball, if you got a minute. Guys go to the NBA combine, after their freshman or sophomore year. They say they're going to the NBA. The NBA tells them, look, you're not good enough. You got to work on this. There are probably 3 or 4 guys off the top of my head, maybe more, I'm sure, that play for the NBA when they come back to their college season. There are a lot of guys that play AAU basketball, and AAU basketball, you play for Adidas or you play for Nike. And you get caught up in that, and you become a McDonald's All-American, and then you get to college, and you don't know who the hell you're playing for. Am I a shoe guy? Am I playing for a shoe company? Or am I playing for my college team? Then there's dudes like Zion Williams who just say, to hell with this. I'm playing for my guys, and I'm playing for my team, and we're going to go bust it harder than anybody. That's a team dude. So you got NBA guy, you got guy playing for a shoe company, you got shoe guy, and you got team guy. And Zion Williamson, man, is going to make more money in shoes. He's going to make more money in the NBA than anybody out there in college basketball, but he's the toughest, hardest playing dude in college basketball. I'm telling you, I'm walking around here. I'm getting a little excited talking. I'm starting to sweat walking around my hotel room right here. That feels so good.
Hey, it feels like a little bit of a man crush because you are a hard guy to win over. You're an old school guy, a traditional guy. You would think somebody who is at all the hype of the modern age would be a millennial hype machine, would be somebody that you would hate. But that is a credit to how hard Zion works on the court.
Oh, the dude plays so hard, and he's so much fun, and he does it every day. And I swear to God, I was sitting with a bunch of Syracuse people. Sean McDonough, who was my broadcast partner, got us into a suite with Syracuse people to watch his game against Syracuse, and we're sitting there, and the entire crowd, including Syracuse people, were kind of on the edge of their seat when Zion had the ball, when Zion was running the floor. I'm telling you, the dude, McAfee, you got more money than God. You need to take all your boys right there, pay for them to go out to the regional, watch Zion Williamson play, do all the crazy stuff that you do after, and thank me later and say, damn, that was a great experience. It's weird. It's the only guy in my life in college basketball I've ever said that about.
Do you think he and RJ Barrett are going to hate each other in the end?
Seems like that's the route it goes, right? Like, you know what I mean?
I was watching that game. I was watching that game the other day, and RJ Barrett was getting hot or whatever. But all the announcers or commentators were saying, like, they got to start getting the ball to Zion. They got to start feeding the ball to Zion. RJ was the number one guy coming out, right? Because nobody thought Zion could do what he did to those high school kids in college. Now that's turned out to be completely false. Zion's going to be the first pick of the draft. We all know that. RJ Barrett's going to be chasing Zion's legacy forever, and he was the number one guy coming out. I'll be excited to see if they hate each other or not in 10 years, or if they're friends like Carmelo and LeBron and Dwayne Wade and all them.
Yeah, but they never played together other than the Olympics. Boys, I kneel at your wisdom. That's a pro move right there. That's pro conversation right there. I do.
Hey,
I genuflect, man, because that's deep thinking pro stuff. The whole I'm mad at you, you're making more than me. We played together, we were good friends. Now it's all about you, not me. That's some deep ish right there, McAfee. I like it.
Hey, especially in the social media brand world that we live in, man. RJ Barrett, I would assume RJ Barrett himself loves Zion right now. They're friends with each other. They go to work together. They laugh together and stuff like that. But there's members of the RJ Barrett team, I assume, that aren't the most excited about how this whole season has turned out, and I'll be excited to see if they creep in. With that being said, Duke's going to win this entire thing. Who's your Final Four? Have you filled out a bracket yet?
Yeah, and I hate I'm like most Big Ten fans. I hate Dakich right now.
Who do you got?
I do, because I got all chalk. I got Duke, Gonzaga, UNC, and Virginia. I got Purdue making a little run, getting past Old Dominion and Villanova. And then I got beaten Tennessee as well. That's kind of a revenge game from a year ago, but I don't think they can beat Virginia. I got Kentucky making a run, Texas Tech making a run to get to the Sweet 16. But I got Gonzaga, Duke, Virginia, and North Carolina.
All right.
But my bracket sucks. Other than helping you, I've never helped anybody in my life, and I lose $5 to my mother every year.
But hold on. And why didn't you feel good about helping me instead of just feeling like envious? Why don't we feel good about helping out the world and sending a friend to Vegas for a free trip because of your big brain?
No, there's too much bitterness in there.
RJ Barrett-looking motherfucker.
I saw you. I know the hijinks that goes on with Mac. And you know what I'm doing? I'm sitting at my house dodging a hawk while you're out there doing your thing. So, no, there's too much pent-up resentment for your success in that one a couple years ago.
All right. There's a little segment we do called The Room Wants to Know. I'll go around the room. The boys want to ask you a question. First one comes from Tom McComas. Diehard Hoosier fan.
Yeah, I have a question for you directly about Archie Miller. You touched on it a little bit earlier. Are you out on Archie Miller? Or are you going to sit and give him time? Because so far, I'm not too happy. Just saying. I feel like it's a young team.
One more year, man. I think you got one more year until people, as they say with NWA, the spot's getting hot.
I get it, and he'll fully have his kids then, or whatever people are saying. But am I wrong in notice? This is what I notice, and this is what I'm hanging my hat on. Is he seems to let this young team get very deep in the weeds before he'll call a timeout and make an adjustment. Is that by design, or is that just bad coaching?
Oh, basketball talk.
That's a great question because a lot of coaches have different philosophies. Like if you're, I don't know if you remember 1987 when Keith Smart hits a shot, right, to win national championship.
Yes.
I used to tell Coach Knight, you say, well, you never call a timeout. That's an example of why. And I'm like, yeah. So I used to tell him that's the shot we wanted, right? Our third best shooter falling out of bounds to win a national championship game. That's the one we wanted, there, champ. And then you would tell me, "Shut the hell up, Dakich," and you go do something else. But anyway,
strangle you.
That's an interesting thing because I've kind of felt that too. My bigger problem with the way Indiana goes about their business is I don't know what they are. Like I don't know. Are you a defensive team? What's your identity? You know what I mean? Like Purdue, they're going to get better. They're going to be tough. Duke's going to play it up and down. Kentucky's sort of. Indiana always had an identity. I don't know what the identity is. Now, that's not fair to Archie. He's 2 years in. That's why I say, get another year. But here's the problem. You're losing Romeo Langford, who's going to be an NBA draft choice, and you're losing your best post guy. So work's cut out. Tough job. But I've been all over their ass. So, you know what? I just want to see them play hard all the time, and they didn't do it.
Attaboy. Great question, Todd. Next one's from Diggs, who's a degenerate. I'm assuming this is going to be a gambling question.
Slightly. Dan, I got some higher-seeded teams that I'm intrigued in, and I want to see who you think might go the farthest. So I got Wofford, Buffalo, New Mexico State, and Nevada. Do you have any thoughts on any of those teams that you think that might be able to make a run?
Eliminate Wofford from your brain. Just eliminate it. That's media hype. Here's the deal. Every good team they've played, they've had their brains beat out. I mean, they're a nice team. They got a good shooter. They might, play well enough to play it down the stretch. Eliminate them. Buffalo's interesting to me. I watched them play the other day. They are crazy. Like, they sprint and run and kick and drive, and that can go well unless you start missing shots. I'm taking Buffalo to win their first-round game, whether it's Arizona State or St. John's, but I'm taking them to lose the second round. Nevada, I really like. Nevada's going to beat Florida. Nevada's one of those teams, I think, that kind of lived off of lived off of last year, didn't really give a rat's during the regular season. Now they're going to turn it on. But I think they're going to lose in the second round to Michigan because John Beilein never loses in the NCAA tournament. And that's a dumb reason, but I like them. Who's the other team?
New Mexico State. You talked about them earlier. You thought they might win one game.
Oh, man. I wish they didn't play Auburn. I wish New Mexico State, as a 12 seed, I wish they played Wisconsin or Oregon, in that game, or Oregon or Wisconsin. I did beat Wisconsin. I wish like hell they didn't play Auburn because Bruce Pearl and his crew, they can be really good, but they can be really bad. If you take New Mexico State to beat Auburn, people are going to call you nuts, and then you might get the genius tag at the end of the game.
Hey, I partied with Bruce Pearl one time down there in Tennessee. Where it was like a couple months after that boat picture surfaced for him. He's a good time.
He can lay it down, right?
Bruce Pearl is a good time. I hope he does well. I'd like to see him celebrate. Next question is from a guy named Nick. Loves hockey. Not sure what this question is going to be about.
Dan, great leading by Pat there. I'm obviously a hockey guy. I know nothing about basketball, so I need your help here. I need one pick from the great Dan Dakich off the cuff here. One
Guaranteed.
upset.
We need one lock.
One upset that's going to make me look really good. One first-round upset. What is it?
I'll tell you this: I took Vegas last night, and they won 6-3 in hockey. So there you go.
Hey, Vegas Golden Knight fans in the building.
One lock in terms of, now. You want to do this with the spread?
Yeah.
I'll take Duke beating North Carolina Central. How's that? I think they're going to win that one.
Perfect.
Money line, hammer it.
Hey, as long as you're making money, you ain't going broke.
That's right.
I'll give you one that's going to be close in the line. And, in fact, Nevada might not even be favored, and they might be an underdog. But if that line is anywhere underneath 3, 4, whatever it is, I'd take Nevada over Florida. Here's the deal. I really believe – I think Nevada is just one of those teams. Florida's not very good. They got on a little bit of a run. But I would take Nevada if we're talking about one of those games that, obviously I'd take Virginia over Gardner-Webb or, that. But I'd take Nevada beating Florida. That should be a fairly decent money line. That should be a fairly decent spread.
Attaboy. Next question is from Gorms. Gorms, what's up?
Coach, I want your opinion on Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars. 2 losses all year. Can they make a run?
They got 3 losses because they lost yesterday, and there's no doubt they can make a run. Houston and Georgia State. I don't know if you remember Georgia State, but Ron Hunter used to live in Indy. He fell off a chair when he had a broken leg, and it was a big deal.
His son was a shooter, right?
Yeah, his son was really good. Hey, the legendary graduate assistant Andrew Dakich of Ohio State, they play Iowa State. He says they're going to win and meet up with Houston, and there is no way that Ohio State can beat Houston, in my humble opinion. I've got Houston getting to the Sweet 16 and losing to Kentucky, but I'll say this. When I watch Houston play, damn. Like, holy damn. Mm-hmm. They got guys that can shoot. They got athletes on the perimeter that can guard, but I don't think they can play with Kentucky, but I do have them going to the Sweet 16.
Let's go. Dan. Hey, Dan, you're on fire right now. I want to let you know we're going to keep it going. This guy's from Chicago, very dumb, named Zito.
Mr. Dakich, what's your favorite Mr. Knight story? Bob Knight.
I got a bunch, but I love when he cut or what did he do? He cussed out / kicked Damon Bailey, Alan Henderson, and Pat Graham, 3 players off of our team, and he was buck naked when he did it. Maybe I've told you that story on the show. I don't know, but he came out of the shower. He told me to go get these 3 kids, and he's buck naked, and he's screaming and he's yelling, and he's got a towel, and he's shammying the undercarriage with the towel while he's screaming at these guys. And Bailey, who I don't know if you remember the name Damon Bailey, but he's one of the all-time greatest dudes ever. He just starts laughing and he's getting kicked off the team because we lost the game. He's the worst player in the history of basketball, blah, 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 blah. But Bailey can't stop laughing because here's Bob Knight. Things are swinging around and buck-ass naked with a towel, screaming at the top of his – now, when I say everything's turning red, I mean everything.
All right. How long were they kicked off the team for? About a day?
Oh, no. We went to practice. Everything was good.
Next guy's from Boston. He's loud. Connor, what's up?
Hey, Dan, do we have any players this year like Steph Curry who are really going to make a name for themselves in the tournament, maybe turn into somebody in the NBA?
Zion.
Yeah, there's a kid, and I'm going to screw his name up. It's like Uno from Yale. Now, you're not going to believe that, but Yale has a real chance to beat LSU because Yale can shoot it, and this kid is not a mystery to NBA guys. He originally committed to Williams College, and then his parents are like, damn, if we're going to pay $60,000 to go to Williams College, we might as well pay $60,000 to go to freaking Yale. Right? So this Yale is really good. Like they make baskets. Like they score it, and this kid scores it. And if Yale can get by LSU, it's going to be because of this kid whose name, honest to God, it's like UNO is his last name. I may have that a little bit wrong, But he's going to be a guy that people know because if they get by LSU, they got a real shot to beat Maryland.
Hey, LSU's coach is in some hot water right now due to saying he paid kids' parents. Is that just everywhere?
I don't think it's everywhere. There's 352 teams, and there's a few, but my man, I think, is caught on a wiretap.
Yeah.
In a federal investigation. Like, to me, there's a saying with the FBI. If they knock on your door, they already know. You know what I mean?
Yep.
My man is in trouble if he's on a wire. But you got to give him credit. He is standing firm. He is blaming others. He is saying, hey, nobody.
Hey, you got to... Ari Gold said it best. You got to deny till you die, my friend. Deny till you die.
Right.
This next
I wasn't there. I didn't know what he's talking about.
Is that my voice? I don't even think that's my voice. This next guy is a huge Michigan State fan. He's a little bit upset that they ended up in the Duke thing because he actually, I think I heard him saying earlier today, thinks that the committee fucked up Michigan and Michigan State and they just switched them.
Yeah, they just mixed up the names.
But he has a question. His name's Evan.
Yeah, Dan, the Big Ten hasn't got it done since 2000. Do you think there's any reason for that, or is it just a bad luck?
Man, that's a great question. The reason for that, I don't think there's not, like, when you look at different leagues, right, they got a lot of teams that get to the Final Four. When you look at Michigan, Wisconsin, and Michigan State over the years really have been it. I guess Indiana went in 2002. That's a really good question. They got all the resources. They got the fan bases. There's a great recruiting area. But I don't really have an answer for that. I want to say bad luck, I suppose. Hey, and to your other point, I'm with you, but here's what they told me. Like, I was going to bitch last night on these shows about Michigan and Michigan State.
Right.
And then one of the guys that ran the tournament for a long time said, look, Dan, you really don't go into who's going to play who in the Elite Eight. You really don't. I said, well, if you don't go into who's going to play who in the Elite Eight, then why the hell do you have seeding? I mean, just play let Vegas do it, play the best games, and let's go.
Dan, you're too smart.
I think they did what you said. I think they screwed it up. You cannot tell me that a team in Michigan State that beat another team in Michigan 3 times doesn't deserve a better seed. I don't care if it's the first round or I don't care if it's the damn Elite Eight. They deserve a better seed when you're talking about 3 wins. So I'm with you. I think Michigan State got jobbed in that.
I read somewhere on the internet, so it has to be true, that the way they do that is the highest ranked 2 seed, they do it geographically so they don't have to travel as far. And they just so happen to fall right into Zion's fucking bracket.
Sucks for them.
Michigan State's going all the way to D.C. still. That's pretty far.
Yeah, bro, we still got we got better planes than we had back in the 80s, though. This ain't that big of a deal. We got
whoa. Hey, true story. You know those planes that got grounded? That's affecting the NCAA tournament, apparently. Not because they use those planes, but because the next plane, it's like next man up, so that's going to affect it. So Michigan State really got screwed.
Geographically, though, they're in a better spot. Geographically.
We'll be all right.
Last question comes from an Iowa fan, Ty Schmidt.
Dan, Iowa, wildly inconsistent, very tough to watch. Just curious why you think that is, and also what are your thoughts on Fran McAfee?
Oh, man, there's nothing better than Fran Con when he gets hot, man. It's the best. When my man gets hot, it's a show in itself. I love the guy. We've had our spats. We had a little to-do a few years ago over a kid named Woodbury. He ripped me. I ripped him. But I love him. I mean, I love talking to him before games. I love talking to his wife. Everybody, they're great. So I love the man. Iowa, man, to me, you talk about a team that can make a run because in the tournament you got to be able to shoot the basketball. These dudes can shoot from 5 spots. But here's the deal, and this is the way it seems to me. Every time they get into a big spot, they get their ass beat. So I'm sitting there going, how do you trust? How do you trust them? I want to. Because, as I said, I love Fran. Bohannon is a bad man. They're playing a Cincinnati team that is almost the opposite of them. They got one kid in Cumberland that can really shoot it. And, oh, by the way, if you're in some kind of player scoring average pool or whatever a lot of people get into, take Jaron Cumberland, because if he plays 1 game, he's going to have 30. If he plays 2 games in the tournament, he's going to have 60. And you see where I'm going here. If he has 3 games, he's going to have 90.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
hey,
not bad.
Yeah.
They're playing. They're playing their polar opposite in Cincinnati. So here's the deal: if they make a bunch of threes, they'll win the game. But they ain't out tough in Cincinnati.
Right.
Hey, so that's a mental thing then if they can't make shots in big games. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe they win the first game, they'll lose the second one then due to expectations being too high. Normally you can judge
except-
people like
That's what I'm
that.
thinking.
The first one's a badass game though. Cincinnati just won their championship, beat Houston, held Houston to like 53, and they have the Mafia Don, Mick Cronin, who I swear to God looks like Sammy the Bull Gravano, and it's going to be that's going to be tough for Iowa. When I saw that for Iowa, I thought to myself, man, that's a bad matchup.
All right. Well, Dan, I appreciate you so much. Did you piss anybody off this year?
Oh yeah, I got a bunch of folks in Indiana hot at me. I got Michigan State. They tried. They weren't very enthusiastic about it. They chanted, "We hate Dakich," chanting the crowd.
They weren't very enthusiastic.
I think anytime you can get 12,000 people to chant that they hate you, I think you're doing something right.
The perfect heel commentator, coach, player, a man that loves college hoops. Can't wait to sit his bald fat ass and watch him. I can't wait to see if his predictions come true. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow him on Twitter at Dan Dakich. You can listen to him 1070 The Fan, ESPN, 10 to 3. Is that it? Or noon to 3?
Yeah, 10 to 3. That's too much work, man. 2 to 3. Shorten it up. Let's go.
Hey, that black suit looked good the other day. I think I tweeted about it a couple times. The all black looked good. You look like Johnny
Ooh.
Cash.
I know. I figured a guy like you that respects fashion the way you do would appreciate that look. I do. Man. Hey, by the way, the Boston Garden is still not in Hartford.
Hey, man, I was on some vitamins. You get it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Dakich.
Thank you. See you guys. I got to go to work.
Hey, you were incredible. Thank you, Dan.
Anytime, brother. Anytime. You know that.
All right.
See you guys.
See ya.